We want to now derive the labor demand function from the profit function. So this is what we want to work on. So now, how do we derive it? It is, let's just change back. Okay, so it is derived from firms maximizing profit with respect to employment. Here we need to keep in mind we're doing this in a model of labor demand and labor supply, where we're assuming that we are perfectly competitive goods and labor market. So individual firms and workers take prices and wages as given. So we'll start with the firm's profit maximization problem. Because that's the goal of the firm, to maximize profits with respect to employment. So the idea is that firms maximize profits by choosing N. So we can write this problem like this mathematically. Okay, choose N to maximize profit, which is represented by pi, and profit is total revenue, which is Py minus total cost W, where we know pi represents profit, which is total revenue Py minus total cost Wn. Here we will note that in the profit function, we do not have minus Rk, where R is rental cost of capital and K is capital, because we're assuming there's no capital in this economy for simplicity. Y is equal to A of n, so Y is a function of n, it's our production function. And P is the price of output. So that's why P times Y is our total revenue. And W is the nominal wage, which is W times N, which represents our employment, is our total cost. Nominal wage. So now this is the firm's profit maximization problem. Now let's look at the optimal choice of labor by the firm. So for optimal choice of labor by firm, for this we first differentiate the profit function with respect to n. So that's the first thing we're going to do. So we're going to differentiate y with respect to n. And here, just keep in mind, we just looked at k. We just found pi to be py minus wn. So we want to differentiate this with respect to n. So this would be p partial y partial n. We know p because we're assuming perfectly competitive labor and goods market. So individual firms and workers just take the price as given. And this is because we know that y is equal to AFN. So it's a function of n. So y is a function of n. So that's why we will, when we're given the specific functional form, we'll take its derivative with respect to n. Minus, obviously we know because it's a perfectly competitive labor market as well. So you're going to take the wage as given as well. So when you differentiate minus wn with respect to n, you just get w. So we do this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set the above derivative. Set the above derivative equal to 0 to maximize profits with respect to n. Because if you know, if you want to maximize y with respect to x, we find the derivative of y with respect to x and set it equal to 0. So here we want to maximize profits with respect to n. So we differentiate profits with respect to n and set the derivative equal to 0. So we're going to set partial pi by partial n, which is p y by partial n minus w is equal to 0. Right, so now the next step is going to be, okay, we want to now divide both sides by p. So this basically means Kp partial y partial n minus w is equal to 0. So divide both sides by p. So now when we divide both sides by p, what we're going to get is we're going to get partial y by partial n minus w by p is equal to 0. So let's now, we can write this as partial y by partial n is equal to w by p. And this essentially is what we call marginal product of labor, which is the additional output that can be produced by hiring one more worker, keeping all other inputs constant. Here we're not assuming any other inputs though. So this is the marginal product of labor and this is the real wage. So we have shown that labor demand is essentially shown. So we have shown labor demand. So we have shown labor demand comes from equating MPN and comes from equating MPN to real wage, where we know MPN is essentially the derivative of the production function with respect to labor. And here MPN represents the marginal benefit of hiring a new worker and the real wage represents the marginal cost of hiring a new worker. So in this way we can derive the labor demand curve from the profit function.